Hello and welcome to episode 14 of the Lack of Interesting Conversation podcast. Thank you for coming back and listening to another episode of the podcast. And if you're new, I want to say welcome and thank you for giving me a listen. Thank you for checking out the podcast. We have obviously since this is episode 14, we have um, 13 more episodes you can go back and listen to in our archives. Again, we are available on anywhere and everywhere you get your podcasts, whether that be Spotify, just clicking on your web browser there via if I share it on the Facebook page, which is the Lack of Interesting Conversation podcast, or if you somehow find us on the RSS website on the podcast RSS website, which I link in the description of every podcast. You can follow that just to find the exact podcasting platform you listen to podcasts on. That should be able to take you there and be able to find it. Just click on listen to and all the different platforms that are available to listen to this on. Just click the one you use and listen to us on that podcasting platform. Also, while you're there on your podcasting platform, please make sure you subscribe, follow us on there, rate us if you can, give us 5 stars or 1 star or half star, whatever, however, and whatever you think of the podcast or that episode. Also, just drop a comment on wherever you can comment about the podcast, whether you liked it or not. I'd love to hear from you. Also, you can go to YouTube and find us there, which is the exclusive home of the video podcast where you can see this lovely face every week. But also, I know on YouTube I do upload the audio version, only version of the podcast as well. But if you are on YouTube, you can just search up the podcast name and it should pop up in the search feed there. Just go ahead and subscribe to that channel, hit that notification bell so you know when we go live with a new video. So, um, just pray that you guys are having a great week so far. I hope this podcast finds you in a good mood, and hopefully, if for some reason you're not having such a good week so far, hopefully it can bring some light and joy to your day and to your week, God willing. So, as last week, was the week of March Madness, the NCAA tournament started last week, and everybody obviously filled out their brackets. And last week, I get on the podcast, I went over my bracket, and if you listen to that podcast, you know that my bracket is absolutely toast, horrible. Yeah, which is crazy. And the entire time that this bracket challenge has been in existence on all kinds of different websites, whether that be the ESPN fantasy app or CBS, Fox, like Dude Perfect has one where you can win tickets, stuff like that. Like everybody and their mama pretty much has a bracket challenge where you can fill out your bracket every year, and there has been zero perfect brackets in the history of this bracket challenge, which is crazy. I know it went to the field of 64 starting in 1985, I believe, and that is let's see, for 30, no 41 years ago. So um, the fact that no one in 41 years has gotten a perfect bracket is pretty crazy. As I know, Saturday and Sunday this past weekend, there were 2 perfect brackets left. I know, like, ESPN reported on that. I don't know if it was in the ESPN bracket challenge or not, but, that is like other places like Fox did, but after this weekend and after Tennessee, UT baby, UT, go Vols, GBO, go Big Orange, upset Virginia there. They, that, officially eliminated the very last perfect bracket. 2 went to have a chance at the grand prize there. So, as also, I know I mentioned that on the ESPN fantasy app specifically that I was creating a lack of interesting conversation tournament challenge group there, as there's several different groups on the on that fantasy app. So we'll get 11 of you in there. I don't know if any of you who are listening to this can. I don't know if it's still possible for you to join groups or not, but still love to have you if you can. But I know my bracket, even though it was toast after day one, like I said it would be, I'm actually in second place. I know first place right now is MCS's Picks One, I believe. Then second, I'm tied for second place anyway with Rooster Time. Then I got a couple buddies of mine in there. I know um, I know, I know my wife and youngest son and her middle son Jonah are tied for seventh here. But I know, unfortunately, one of my buddies is in last place. Kind of stinks, but it is what it is. But I know right now I got 460 points. The best I can do is 1580, and the best that anyone can do here in my bracket challenge is Rooster Time with 1700 points. So that would be pretty cool if some to get that many points. I don't know what the max points is a person can get, but anyway, let's go over to my bracket and I'll talk about some maybe like an upset or two I called. Well, at my first, start at the beginning. Like the game one of the day last week, you had not Tennessee, TCU, Ohio State, and of course, Ohio State let me down. I knew I shouldn't have picked them. Of course, losing to TCU by 266 to 64. That was a pretty back and forth game, but that still kind of stinks. And I know, like, let's see, the some of the upsets that I got wrong, like I had South Florida beating Louisville. That ended up being pretty close, but honestly, I probably that was something I shouldn't have called. Then Iowa, I didn't have them beating Clemson, but here they are all the way in the Sweet 16 now, which is pretty crazy. And then I did call the VCU upset over North Carolina. I know I posted that on my TikTok, which is at Trey underscore Mendenhall. By the way, you can follow me on there. You can also follow me on Instagram at the same handle there as well. I did call the A&M upset. I guess 10-7 matchup. That is an upset. So that one, they won by 13 there. Out of all the upsets, that's probably um, um, the biggest upset in terms of how many points they won by during the tournament there. And then then BYU, of course, should have known. They let me down. Um, I didn't have Texas beating them, but they did. And Texas now they're going on a little run here. Upset. Not only did they upset BYU, they went and upset Gonzaga, who I had going pretty far. There as Texas is there in the Sweet 16, has a date with Purdue. Um, Well, I'm not sure when that is. That is the 26th at 7:10 p.m. These are all kinds of different channels these games are on, so I don't show exactly sure when these games are going, what channel these games are going to be on. And also called St. Louis over Georgia. That was a massive blowout, 102-77. Uh, it's okay. Anytime an SEC team or SEC rival of Tennessee loses, it's a good day. Then probably the most boneheaded choice I had all in this bracket here. For some reason, I had Akron beating Texas Tech. Absolutely horrible pick, horrible. Then I know Miami of Ohio. They're obviously their miracle season came to an end by the hands of Tennessee. Um, I think that's pretty much in terms of all the I guess, big upsets that I had and people, I guess, moving on. Then, of course, the second round here, um, I know, I guess not too many real big surprises, I guess, other than Iowa. I forgot about Iowa, them beating Florida, um, by 1, 73-72. That was a major upset, but like I said, it's a good day when Florida loses. Then you in the South there, you got the you got Vanderbilt losing to the Cornhuskers of Nebraska. I should have known I should not have picked them to go all the way to the Elite Eight. Horrible, horrible. Well, I had them all the way in my Final Four, excuse me. What a horrible decision. Horrible decision. A lot of these teams, to be honest, especially these top tier teams like Michigan, Michigan's still in as the top seed, Arizona's in the top seed, and Duke's still in as a top seed. They've pretty much have, I guess some of them have had some scares early on in games, but all of them have dominated. I believe all of them. Let's see here. I think most all of them are most of them have scored over 100 points in a game. Well, no, never mind. 2 of them, I know Florida, who's no longer in the tournament, uh, scored 114 points in round 1 there, in the round of 64, and Michigan scored 101, that that in the round of 64. Um, then the second round, here in the round of 32, I think Michigan was the closest as they scored 95 with a win over St. Louis, 95-72. Obviously, Florida, they lost by 1 to Iowa. And Duke scored 81 when they beat TCU 81-58, which is uh, the most points they've scored in during this tournament. Um, then Arizona, they scored 78, but they scored 92. That was the highest points they've scored in this tournament. Then scored 78 against Utah State in the round 32. And then, I would say probably the most dominant, it's probably a toss up with the most dominant 2 seed, either Iowa State or Houston. Both have honestly dominated their opponents uh, in both rounds as Iowa State scored 108 against Tennessee State. Then, well, Purdue did pretty well in the second round in the round of 64, scoring 104 over the 71 over Queens. Um, Houston 78-47 over Idaho. Then and well, in UConn and Furman, that was a pretty good game. But there's also been some nail biters. Obviously, like the key example is the Florida Iowa game with Iowa winning by a point. Then the Nebraska Vanderbilt game coming down the 2 points. Like the St. John's Kansas game, I know St. John's hit like a buzzer beater just to come out on top there with Rick, not Paterno, Rick Pitino. Excuse me, I mispronounced that last week, being like cool, calm, and collected after that happened. But then obviously the Tennessee Virginia game, Tennessee, that's the one I've really watched out of all the during that first half of the Tennessee Virginia game. Tennessee only had 1 turnover, and they were, gosh, well, don't remember what the halftime score was to that game, but but I do remember. Um, Well, heck, never mind. I pulled it up. It was 36-31 at half. Um, then Virginia kind of ended up turning it up in the second half there with the scoring 41 points to Tennessee's 43, and Tennessee winning 79-72 um, by what is that? 7 points by 7 points. Um, I know they're well. Tennessee had honestly led most of the game. And then you got there toward the end, and it felt like Tennessee was turning their ball over so much, which they ended up doing a lot in the second half. They went from 1 turnover in the first half to 9. what? 9. Um, in the second half, Tennessee's largest lead was 9. Virginia was 8. Um, Tennessee outright rebounded Virginia by 4, 39 to 35. Tennessee with a total of 10 turnovers. Virginia was 7. But that's kind of been the key, to be honest, in the first 2 games for Tennessee, as they have been pretty clean the first half, but the second half is where they get really sloppy, which has been honestly, uh, and it's been their MO all year. It's not been good, but Tennessee went to 76% from the free throw line, getting there 25 times, 19 for 25. To Virginia's only getting there 11, 6 for 11, 55%. Tennessee uh, basically pretty much led them in all categories. 7% field goal percentage to Virginia's 39%. The 3-point percentage, 42 Tennessee, 34% Virginia. And obviously, Tennessee there moves on to play Iowa State, the number 2 Iowa State Cyclones, the 27th at 10:10 at night. That'd be way past my bedtime. But to be honest, um, I guess I know now that's when the Sweet 16 Tennessee, ESPN usually gives people a second chance at this. I don't know if I will give myself a second chance or not, but uh, the Sweet 16 matchup here in the East, you got Duke, St. John's, UConn, Michigan State. Those basically play back to back on the 27th here. I both my picks are still in it, good in this, so still rocking with Duke over St. John's and UConn over Michigan State. Although Michigan State hasn't looked all that has looked pretty good, to be honest. And with UConn struggling there against number 15 seed Furman, that kind of gives you maybe a little bit of a worry. But they kind of bounced back with them only winning by 11 over Furman. They bounced back and won by, let's see here, 16 over UCLA. But in Michigan State, both their wins have been by double digits. So, and same with Duke. Both their wins have been by, well, except for the round one, they struggled too, but they came back and dominated in that round 32. St. John's, obviously, they had blew out Northern Iowa in the round of 64, and then had a close one against Kansas. Obviously, both very good teams, but I'm sticking with my picks there. And then in the South here, you got them playing pretty much back to back too on the 20th this weekend, pretty much. You got the number 4 Nebraska Cornhuskers versus the number 9 Iowa Hawkeyes. Obviously, a Big Ten matchup here. My original picks here was Vandy over Florida. Obviously, I was big time wrong on that. Out of this, if I could go back and change this, if I would probably. Although, I mean, Iowa, I'm pretty sure they're probably riding high over the win there over Florida, beating the number 1 seed in the South in their region for being a 9 seed. I can see them definitely carrying the momentum, but also I can see them possibly um, that momentum basically tiring them out. That's really where good coaching comes into play. Really, you got to get your team and your players focused on the next matchup here, as it is a do or die situation. Win or go home. No, you're playing for today and not playing for tomorrow. Just as the word says, today has its own troubles. And then I would say, does and I'm really wanting to pick Iowa here, as I think they can continue their Cinderella run. But I wouldn't be surprised if Nebraska pulls it out. I'm going to pick Iowa here since both my teams are gone. Then the other matchup here, what is number 2 versus 3 seed? You got Houston versus Illinois, which I had correct in here, and then I have Illinois going over. So it'd be a Big Ten matchup in the Elite Eight here, but I could definitely see Houston winning. As I mean, both teams looked dominant so far. Coming head to head, 2-3 matchup here. Something's got to give. I think the Big Ten. I will stick with my pick here. I will not. With Illinois, although I will not be surprised if Houston comes out on top here. Then the West, and then you have the number one seed Arizona Wildcats going up against the number 4 Arkansas Razorbacks, which who the Arkansas I did not have in there thanks to stinking Wisconsin. Should have known. I shouldn't have trusted them. But I had original one. My original matchup was Arizona Wisconsin. Have Arizona moving on here, even though High Point was a 12 seed. They still give Arizona plenty of run for their money here. Let's see. It was pretty close. Arkansas only led by a point going into halftime. Then kind of end up making the necessary buckets to kind of pull away there in the second half. Um, the largest lead Arkansas had was 8. The largest lead High Point had was 5. And there was kind of, see here. I mean, Arkansas only won the rebound battle by 37-36. Um, High Point had a much better field goal free throw percentage, only missing one, 91%, 10 out of 11, compared to Arkansas's 15 for 20, 75%. But obviously, Arkansas made the plays when needed to move on here. That was the out of the matchups between both teams. That was the closest one for each team goes so far. But I still had Arizona moving on originally, and I will stick with that. Then you got the number 11 Texas Longhorns, whom beat my original pick Gonzaga here to face Purdue, who I had there originally. Purdue I guess they only beat the U by 10 last game, but they steamrolled in their first round matchup. And then Texas, they were in the play-in game. I don't remember who it was they had to play to get into the tournament. Hold on. Let me see here if I can find it. Shoot, no, I won't be able to. Hold on, let me see. Here, let me look it up. Texas. Um, NC State. That's who it was. NC State. Uh, Texas beat NC State there by 2, 68-66 to get in the game, into the tournament in the game. But since then, they've continued their streak, obviously beating the number 6 seed BYU Cougars. Then moving on to face Gonzaga, the number 3 seeded Gonzaga there in the West region, and upsetting them. So they are on a Cinderella run as well. I guess with that, that is a hot team, but Purdue is also a hot team, and they've shown why they are the number 2 seed so far. There hasn't been too much of a, I guess, letdown so far in the tournament here for Purdue. Although I guess Purdue was losing to the U there, and at the end of the first half, but they came back and dominated that second half by scoring 41 points in the second and only letting Miami score 29. So this is a Cinderella versus a powerhouse pretty much here. I still have Purdue moving on to the Elite 8 here. Then in the Midwest here in around Sweet 16 here, I have Michigan, Alabama. That is the uh, original matchup I had. Both teams have pretty much steamrolled to this point. Alabama in their first round 64 game. They defeated Hofstra. Hofstra. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. By 20. Michigan defeated Howard here in the round of 64 in the beginning, first game of the tournament, by 21. Michigan defeated St. Louis here by 23 in the second, and Alabama defeated Texas Tech by 25. So both teams have, I guess, been able to steam through, roll to this point. Michigan again has pretty much been at in the top of the rankings as the number one team in that top five for most of the year up to this point. Although it seems to have that Purdue loss in the Big Ten title game and the Big Ten tournament to close the season, as all the conferences have a tournament to crown their champion in college basketball. And then has lit a fire up under them, and they have steamrolled to this point. As I could keep saying, I still believe Michigan will come out on top. This should be a good game. But let's go back. I forgot to say in the West, the Arizona Arkansas matchups at 9:45 on then the Purdue Texas game is before that at 7:10 on the 26th. Then the Michigan game is at 7:30 on the East, and the next matchup, the Iowa State Tennessee matchup, is at 10:10. I know I have previously said that Tennessee is the surprise here. I had Virginia here and had Virginia winning over Iowa State. Tennessee, this is their fourth straight Sweet 16, looking to make, I think, they win this game. This would be their third straight Elite Eight appearance. This will be pretty tough. To be honest, Iowa State has, gosh, they've steamrolled through here too, defeating Tennessee State by um, 30, 34 points, and then put a whooping up on Kentucky by 19 points, 82 to 63. Although this was a close game, that was a close game in the first half with Iowa State leading by 31 to 30, and then in the second half, jeez, I don't think Kentucky played any defense. Uh, they end up winning that second half 51-33. Sorry to Pastor Brown. I know he's a Kentucky fan if he hears this, but uh, but that Tennessee Kentucky rivalry, and uh, some might be disappointed in me that I didn't have Tennessee going this far. I know my wife did. She made sure to let me know that she put a Tennessee sweatshirt on, which she does look much better than me in that. But gosh, as much as I would love Tennessee to win this, I'm picking Iowa State. They've just been way too good here recently, and Tennessee's second, especially the second half turnover woes. Gosh, that I think that'll be a downfall. Um, but if Tennessee can hold on the ball and not turn it over, I think they've proven how good they can be, and they can definitely stay with Iowa State here and even come out on top. But um, I picking Iowa State here to win. Then that would make my final four. I mean, the Elite Eight matchups here: Duke versus UConn, Iowa versus Illinois, Purdue versus Arizona, and Michigan versus Iowa State. I think that's all. Well, everything but the region but the South was chalk. So watch me be wrong again. Well, anyway, I'd like to hear your predictions. I would personally love to know how your bracket's doing. If it's doing better in my mind, let me know. If it's not, maybe we can just comfort each other together. But I just also before I go, I just want to say I have been quoting here. I want to quote Romans 9 through 10, excuse me, that if you confess with your mouth the Lord Jesus and believe in your heart that God has raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For with heart one believes unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. That is how you are saved. That if you believe that you confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord, and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you shall be saved. And I just want to come on here. I know I feel like I've been quoting that wrong, and I want to apologize to anyone who that may have offended or that may have led astray or anything. I purposely would not want to do that. I would just ask if you would, to be honest, would forgive me for that. I certainly have been convicted of that. I just wanted to shout that out and give you a chance to, if you feel ever convicted that you feel the Lord Jesus pulling on your heartstrings, as it says in Revelation 3:20. Behold, I stand at the door and knock, and if anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into him and dine with him, and he with me. If you just feel Jesus knocking on the door of your heart, I just pray you would let him in. He is life changing. He's life giving in his work on the cross, and because of his work on the cross, uh, that you can have a life. Your life can be changed. You can have life more abundantly, as it says. And he is just to forgive if you just ask. You can just confess your sins to him and ask him to forgive you, and he will forgive you, and he will. And as it says in Romans, there, the verse I just read, if you confess with your mouth and believe that God raised him from the dead, you shall be saved. Let's pray that you would just what hear those words anyway. I guess I feel like I'm rambling on now, but I want to just thank you for joining me again today here. If you enjoyed it, please share. Um, I would love to just continue to grow this podcast and be able to reach more people. Just give it a listen, share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with a stranger. I guess share it on your social media, wherever that may be. But I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening. I appreciate all of you who do give me a listen here. I just pray you continue to tune in every week here on Wednesday. And I will see you next time on the Lack of Interesting Conversation podcast.